And I mean, this just kind of shows from the beginning, because I think a lot of Americans are not going to know. We know there's the war in Ukraine. We know Putin is Putin and doing what he does. But especially from this book, it highlighted for me the Russia-Ukraine thing has been embedded in history since basically day one, is what we're saying.
Yeah, and the most of the history of this time, in a way, people wouldn't really have recognized the term Ukraine as an independent country. I mean, the problem is now, look, under the understandable pressure of this horrendous war that Putin has unleashed on Ukraine, history in many ways has become polarized. So you have those people who, like Putin himself, say, look, Ukraine was never really a country. It's always been either part of Russia or else a kind of contested no man's land, being fought over by the Russians, the Crimean Tatars, the Poles, the Lithuanians, and such like. And then, of course, there is the other extreme, which is to say, oh no, Ukraine has always been a distinctive peoples and therefore nation. And there is a centuries-long story of Russia trying to control and brutalize and even wipe out the Ukrainian people. And of course, the truth, as ever with history, is nuanced, complex, and somewhere in the middle of those extreme positions. And also reflects the fact that nations change. Sure, 200 years ago, very few people in what is now Ukraine would have thought of themselves as specifically Ukrainian, as distinct from Russians or whatever. But the point is that, then nations form. And in many ways, frankly, and I once got into trouble for suggesting slightly sort of lightheartedly to some Ukrainian parliamentarians that they should be putting statues of Putin up in their main squares because he is the founding father of the modern Ukrainian nation. Yeah, which is an example of why you should not joke about some things. But the point is, it's under the pressure of Putin's horrifying onslaught that you've actually got proper Ukrainian state building, wherein all of the old fracture lines between Russian-speaking Ukrainians in the east and Ukrainian-speaking Ukrainians in the west, between those who believe in the Russian Orthodox faith, those who are Catholics, between those who essentially still wanted to see some kind of connection with Russia and those who saw the future as being, with the European Union. All of these divisions now matter so much less than ever before. And, a genuine Ukrainian nationhood has emerged from this war. But that's the point. It has emerged in the early 21st century, not in the 12th, not in the 17th, whatever. It's been something that sort of has been forming. So, look, I mean, I will climb off my soapbox in a moment. But I think exactly, one of the things that, again, I knew, but it's illustrated once you actually have to put pen to paper or, obviously finger to keyboard these days, that actually the degree to which the boundary lines for what Ukraine was have shifted back and forth over the years. The notions of where do Ukrainians look, that in some ways the classic roots of Ukraine are within the Cossack peoples. And there were multiple Cossack hosts and communities, and some looked west and some looked east. Again, it is so much more interesting, but also unsatisfyingly complex for people who want to have a one-sentence explanation for what's going on.